I personally would want to keep the sliding scale moving more towards the recurring revenue being the bulk of what makes up his $100,000 per month. Do you want the roadmap to be able to do 100K, 250K, or even $1 million a year as a solo coach? Because that's exactly what I'm going to walk you through in this episode. See, back in 2014, when I moved from Dubai to Bali, I was a physique coach at the time. And when I went from training clients in the gym to then having the dream of wanting to build an online coaching business, I knew some things had to change. Because looking back, it took me a few years to really start to be able to actually make it work, where I had a reliable and predictable machine to be able to get clients, to be able to coach them properly, and to be able to actually scale a coaching business. And today I see the same mistake happening when I'm consulting or partnering with other great coaches. And it's the same mistake that slowed me down back from 2014. And that is doing too many things, building too many funnels, trying to do too many different marketing strategies, jumping from one tactic and one method to another. And what sucked the most about that period was I was working around the clock. I was being busy, but so much of it wasn't actually increasing my sales or the actual amount of money that was going into my bank account, which is one reason why I want to do these episodes, is so you can avoid the mistakes that I have made that's wasted so much of my time and money, so you can not cry and pull your hair out like I did before. So I posted on Instagram just a couple of days ago to get questions for me able to answer and to be able to do these episodes for you. And I got a message from who we're going to call Coach B, because I want to keep him anonymous. And FYI, if you have questions or topics and you want me to answer them for you for the YouTube or for the podcast, and kind of think of this like personal coaching or consulting for me, ask away in the YouTube comments or send me a DM on Instagram. Now, Coach B initially saw a post about where I was talking about taking coaches doing 20, 30, 40K a month and taking them up to 100, 250K a month. So to make this episode really useful, I asked Coach B some questions so I could specifically answer them for you to be able to literally lay out a roadmap for Coach B to be able to get to $1 million a year as a solo coach. And that's what we're going to go through together. So there's three big pieces of information that we have here from Coach B. Number one, his price point is currently $6,000 for 8 weeks of coaching. Number two, he wants to make over $1 million a year. And three, the market he's serving is actually split between athletes and business owners and executives. So firstly, let's get clear on the economics of the business and let's go through the sales system, and then let's be able to then finish in the actual marketing message, and I'll explain each one as we go. So let's go back to the back of the napkin math to make sure everything actually makes sense, and the business that we're building for Coach B is actually going to be able to give him exactly the life and the money that he wants at the end of the day, which is $1 million a year. Now, what I will not cover in this episode is the lifestyle side that I've seen with many other coaches, and I've done it myself. I built a business before which was set up in a way that I didn't love. So I don't have context in everything for Coach B right now. So we're really just going to do the hard math and the kind of step-by-step execution for the marketing and sales side. So we'll cover that in an upcoming episode. So there is another reason to make sure that you subscribe and follow, because you're not going to want to miss that one. Now, Coach B wants to earn $1 million a year, and I'm going to do something a lot of bro marketers don't do, which is a lot of business coaches or influencers talk only about top line numbers. Now, when Coach B wants $1 million a year, I'm going to assume he wants in his back pocket, in his bank account, $1 million a year. So let's say he's operating off an 80% profit margin, as he wants to be able to be a solo coach, which I'll peel back in just a second, meaning he actually needs $100,000 per month as top line revenue to hit the $1 million profit per year. Now, he's selling 8-week programs for $6,000. And if it were me, I would not just have a front-end program, I would want to make sure that we have a back-end offer as well. And what we will see is we'll be able to build that back-end, and it could be something like a $400 a week offer, so that's actually a downsell or a drop sell rather than trying to keep that client at the same or even increasing as well. So we're going to kind of like take the shortest path to success right now. So if the client was happy to pay $3,000 a month before for his front end program, our back end is actually that drop sell for, let's say, $1,600 a month, which is nearly half the rate. And we would aim for a 30% conversion rate from front end to back end. So to hit $100,000 a month, we can calculate that we would want to have front end sales to be 75% of the income to begin with. So we would need to make 13 sales a month to hit his front end targets. And in the back end, for the remaining 25% to hit that $100,000 a month target, we would need 16 members in the back end. So honestly, they're pretty darn easy numbers to hit. 13 front end sales per month and 16 members in the back end. Now, as time goes on, I personally would want to keep the sliding scale moving more towards the recurring revenue being the bulk of what makes up his $100,000 per month. Not only does this mean Coach B really has about, let's say, 3 to 5 months of building up his front end to his back end, but then he's going to have a really strong MRR income stream, which ultimately is going to help him sleep at night. Why? Because you know that the next month you can predict with a pretty decent accuracy how much money is going to drop into your bank account when you have a strong MRR program, and it means you don't actually have to sell new clients into it. So, which then is the aim to be able to retain those back-end clients and to be able to increase what their lifetime value is as well, which we're not going to cover in this episode. Have you subscribed? If not, this is the best time for you to subscribe, whether you're on the YouTube or on the podcast. Why? Because it would be a bummer if you missed out on everything that's to come, or don't subscribe if you're not actually getting much value out of this, because there is a zillion other things that you could be doing. So I'd rather you go and do that. The ball's in your court. Now, I do have an episode that I've previously recorded that will actually be coming out after this episode that is all about the Rainmakers flywheel. Now, you'll see in that this is our method to be able to overall use 8 steps in a flywheel fashion to increase profits. So make sure you subscribe and follow to not miss that one. So at the price point of the front end being $6,000, I would want to first have this sold over a call, over a Zoom call. So we call this playbook to actually install right now. I'd be like, Coach B, we need to install the proven application funnel. This is the system, this is the methodology, this is the playbook to ensure that we have leads going to booking a call and then using it to qualify that lead so that they are a great fit to them actually signing on. Now, as Coach B wants to be a solo coach, that means he's doing the calls, but only needing 13 front-end sales. This is how I would actually set the pipeline metrics to look. So the process would be in the application to the triage call to strategy call. So they've got to apply, then you have a quick 15, maybe a 20-minute triage call, then you have a final strategy call to then close that client coming in. So let me reverse engineer this. If there's 13 sales per month, let's say there's a 75% conversion rate on that second call. So that means Coach B needs 18 strategy calls. To get 18 strategy calls, let's say he's got a 50% conversion rate from triage to strategy. Now that means Coach B needs 36 triage calls a month. Now, to get those 36 triage calls, let's assume he's still got a low conversion rate from booking to showing up. So then that means Coach B needs 72 applications per month. So let's look at the time output that Coach B actually needs to commit to make this selling system work. 18 strategy calls, which take 40 minutes each, 36 triage calls, which take about 15 minutes each, means per week, Coach B needs about 5.5 hours per week to fit in those amount of calls. Well, honestly, not that much. So to recap and to make sure you're picking up what I'm putting down, we need 72 applications, which equals 36 triages. 36 triages equals 18 strategy calls. 18 strategy calls equals 13 sales per month. That's simple. Even a meathead like me can get it. Now we just need to make sure that the marketing message and process is going to actually bring in the 72 applications per month. So we've got the sales process down. Now let's do the marketing. And this is where we need to bring in what we call the splintered target market that Coach B has right now. I've seen this a fair few times because he wants to coach athletes, but actually has business owners and execs as clients now. So this is a problem that I used to have. So I'll only answer this from my personal experience. I started out wanting to be a strength and conditioning coach. And I got to be a strength coach for MMA fighters and even a fight club. But I actually found that it was clearly my weight loss and physique coaching that was bringing the money in. So I made the decision to focus on building my physique coaching business back then, serving physique clients, which was around business owners, CEOs. I trained politicians, I took actors, I had physique clients and people that wanted to do photo shoots. So if I was Coach B, what I would do is I would actually be thinking about getting the business humming, coaching the business executive niche and market first, then going and building out the branding, the marketing, and the transitioning to the athletes. So this is where you choose one target market to begin with, to begin with. Don't think that you have to stick with it for the rest of your life. And then dedicate your message in your marketing around attracting exactly those people. Don't try and splinter and try and talk to athletes and business executives at the same time. I don't think that shit's gonna work. So looking at the landscape now of business owners and executives, Coach B needs to create a clear and simple message. He needs to articulate that message to be able to get that market to stop, take notice of him, and then want to follow what he actually has to say. Now, to get that messaging out in front of the market, it could be 100% paid ads, where what we're seeing right now inside of Rainmakers is 3 methods working. So Coach B, this is what I would do literally right now with you. Number 1, I would amplify short form content to be able to get your short form content in front of those business owners and executives and start turning those into followers and turning them, importantly, into conversations. Number 2, I would be using a high value lead magnet to list build and then giving them an offer that they can't refuse, which entails them to then get onto that first triage call to make that application. Number 3, I would run small virtual workshops, which quickly builds trust and authority before then taking them into the sales process. So there's 3 there, but I'll choose 1 to begin with and then be able to install, bolt on the others as they go through. Then depending on the strengths and skills of Coach B would likely determine which of those 3 would actually be the best one to start with. So to make this really valuable for you and for you, Coach B, let's cover some key questions right now. Number 1, have you made sure that you have the economics and basic math line up for you so you know of how many sales you need to make, and is that going to equal the amount of money in your bank account? Number 2, are you clear with your sales process and what metrics and conversions need to actually be to make that true? Then number 3, are you clear on what the output is for what you need to be doing so that you can actually be able to get those leads and get those clients? This is where a lot of people kind of like miss the boat. They might think about correctly the math of like, okay, I want to earn this much money, this is how much I need to sell. But then do you know the exact sales metrics? So the scorecard for your business, you know those key metrics, those KPIs need to line up. So there's the KPIs, are they correct? And then there's the KPAs, the key performance actions, which is what is the output that you're a solo coach, you need to be doing to make sure that then the leads, the processes and everything is actually lining up to be able to be true for you to earn the money that you want at the end of the day. So make sure you tick all 3 of those processes. Now, I highly recommend that you go and watch a behind the scenes training that we just recorded, which is showing you behind the scenes of how we actually rapidly grow coaching businesses with the exact processes, the steps, and the actual system that we do so there is a predictable, reliable machine for leads and sales. I'll pop a link below for you to be able to get access to that, which I really recommend you do, because this episode is fantastic to understand the premise and the big concepts, those big 3 to be able to actually understand so that you can go through. So I really would recommend press stop, pause, don't go and do something else. Don't go and watch some cat videos. Don't try and watch another episode of something else. What I would do is quickly think about those 3 big questions that I just asked you. And if you're not clear on those, then I would ensure to actually try and answer those and then go on, click the link below to watch the behind the scenes training. Now, really importantly as well, if you have any specific questions or topics that you want me to answer for you, and so I can do these episodes for you on the YouTube and the podcast as well, then all you need to do is go and comment in the YouTube comments or send me a DM on Instagram so that I'll be able to get your questions, I choose the best ones, and I'll be able to shoot these episodes for you in the upcoming episodes. If you've enjoyed this episode and it's vibed with you, then make sure that you hit subscribe, whether you're on the YouTube or on the podcast. And importantly, if there is any guests that you want me to have on the show or specific questions or topics that you want me to be able to cover for you, simply put it into the YouTube comments or send me an Instagram DM. That way I can make sure you're getting the most out of actually being here.